If my needs vary, I can manage that separately, or I can do another swap deal on top of this. That's easy to do. Of course, disadvantage is you could not, you're going to have to take counterparty risk. So if you do this with a relatively small bank, the chances that that bank may go down, hence may not be able to honor the transactions, is increasing. But if you do this with a relatively stable bank, you know that counterparty risk is relatively small. So compared to taking the future interest rate changes risk, and you don't have to worry about cash flow consequences of rolling the futures contracts, this is ideal. For banks, or sometimes we call that bank the swap bank, it's a short for the bank that does the swap with you. Normally, I'm the counterparty who's going to pay foreign amounts. You may be the counterparty who needs those foreign amounts. If you can match, normally those swaps are done by two counterparties. But finding exact match of the needs is almost impossible. So swap banks become intermediaries. They basically start running a swap book. So this is the dollar yen book. So my customer is going to give me yen, and I'm going to give my customer dollars. So which means I'm getting yen. As soon as I do this deal, I'm long yen, short dollars. Okay. That may or may not be a position that I want to run. So I need to manage the risk of that. As a bank, it's a lot easier for me to manage that risk using short-term futures contracts. And two, I'm going to have other clients with exactly the opposite needs. Some of my clients wants to pay dollars, get yen, and I'm going to add them up. On at any given time, that swap book or dollar yen swap book is not going to be zero, but I can manage that, manage whatever that balance is using short-term instruments. Why? You know, as soon as I do that, tomorrow I'm going to have new clients doing new transactions. Value of that exposure is going to change anyway, but it's something that can be easily managed. As a bank, I don't have to worry too much about cash flow consequences of those, because it's a lot easier for banks to fund those compared to a client. So you have long-term exposure as a corporation. You go to your swap bank and you tell them, this is pretty much what you need. Or you borrowed in yen, you know, instead of dollars because you think yen interest rates are low. So you may decide to borrow in yen. Similarly, all you have to do is be the payer in yen in a deal like that. I mean, we're going to deal with the interest rate exposure as well, but that's more of Wednesday's problem. Let me see. Well, I'm going to stop here today. And on Wednesday, we're going to look at how to manage the interest rate exposure of floating rate loans. So I may borrow at, let's say, prime plus 2, okay, or treasuries plus 2, given my credit worthiness. But if I do this for 10 years, you know, my coupon payments are going to be higher if the interest rates go up. How do you uh, manage that? Again, you find a counterparty. You tell them, how about every year you pay me whatever the 3-month treasuries are, or every quarter, and I pay you a fixed rate. But I already have an exposure. If treasuries go up by 1%, I'm going to pay higher. From the swap, I'm going to be paid higher. Those two are going to cancel each other. That swap is going to convert a floating rate exposure to a fixed rate exposure. Calculations are a little bit hairier than this, but it's not that different in nature. Then finally, we'll finish up Wednesday, combining the two. Suppose I borrowed at a floating rate in yen, okay? But I want to be a fixed rate payer in dollar. Technically speaking, it has two components. One, you do an interest rate swap in yen, you convert the floating rates into fixed floating yen exposure into a fixed yen exposure using the interest rate swap. Then the rest is just a currency swap. So you do two of them. But obviously, you talk to your bank and you tell them, okay, given this, give me an exchange rate so that I can make these in dollar terms. Internally, your bank is going to use first interest rate swap, then dollar yen, the currency swap to give you that rate. So that would be floating to fixed currency swap. I mean, I call this one on purpose fixed to fixed. I mean, you basically simplify complicated exposures using those swaps. And this finished up early. We'll spend a little bit more time on this on Wednesday, and I'll post your homework. I mean, that afternoon, pretty much. It's going to be chapter 5, 7, and this, I think. Chapter 5 is the regular exchange rate, 7 is futures, and this chapter. I'll see you.